I went on my Twitter. You might have heard of it. It's a social media platform. And I asked everybody to send me their LGBTQ plus questions in what I like to call a Q&Gay. So, in an effort not to waste anybody's time, let's get straight to it. Or rather, gay to it. All the colors of the rainbow. Question number 1 comes from Holly Nichols. She asks, what is your favorite LGBT joke? I particularly like the one about the U-Haul, where it's like, what does a lesbian bring to a second date? Keys to a U-Haul is the answer. And it's because of codependence. Question number 2 comes from Thems, and they ask, how you feel about being some kind of a gay icon that some youngsters look up to and get them brave enough to come out because of you? Grin. Big happy face. To be honest, I feel a real responsibility to be an open and honest role model, which is why I go into a lot of graphic detail about my coming out experience in Buffering, Unshared Tales of Life Fully Loaded, available everywhere in stores. Let's take a peek at the gay chapter called Shadowboxer. Part of me believed I was exploring the freedom of being flirtatious on girls to prep for the boys, because anytime my flirtations with a straight identifying girl led to a quiet confession of feelings on her behalf, I would reject her and tell her that she had been misinterpreting my intentions all along. Oh, that's so mean, closeted Hannah. More on that in here. Ariana asks, so I have a huge crush on this girl and she won't text me back. How do I start a conversation with her? Is she ignoring me? I'm gonna go ahead and save you some time, darling. If she's not texting you back, it's because she is not interested in texting you back. So that's pretty simple. If she texts you back, then continue to text her. If she does not text you back, do not text her. The end. Anybody need to write that down? 16 Days asks, are you a top or bottom? Personal. Not really. You know, I'm just a healthy expression of both. It really depends on, I don't know, the moon? Whatever you're in the mood for. And whatever your partner's in the mood for. I can get into a lot of different things. Except for sex with a man, apparently. I've tried. Tanya Prothrow asks, my sexual orientation is lesbian, but I have not experienced anything with a girl or boy yet. Am I still a lesbian? That is a wonderful, wonderful question, and I am so glad you asked. In my opinion, again, giant disclaimer, this video is entirely composed of just Hannah Hart's opinion. It's not fact, nor do I believe it to be fact for all people, etc. In my opinion, absolutely yes. It's about your heart, it's about love, it's about that feeling that can't be described, and people have spent lifetimes and many, many forms of art trying to contain and to explain. And if you feel that love for someone of the same sex, then boom, identify however you want. But also I like to believe that we're moving into an era past labels where we can just love who we love whenever we love them, etc, etc, etc. We'll see, one day, in the future, probably. Katrina asks, how did your old boyfriends react to finding out you're gay? Honestly, I don't really remember, so I believe they reacted well. It doesn't really stand out in my mind. I think a lot of people are like, oh, okay, are you sure? And you're like, yeah. And then they're like, no, okay. Makes a lot of sense. I think there was this one guy I was friends with my whole life. Like, we met in kindergarten. We were friends my whole life. And he always carried a flame for me and always loved me. And he was the most wonderful guy. And I just didn't feel that way towards him. And it tore our friendship apart and really ate him up inside for many, many years. And a couple of years ago, I was at a wedding, his wedding. We were at a wedding together. And I said to him, isn't it wonderful that I was just gay all along? And he was like, yeah. And we hugged. Becca asks, as a lesbian, how do I avoid STDs? So much info for straight and gay male sex, but nothing out there for lesbians or lesbians. First, I'd like to answer this question that you didn't ask, which is, have I, Hannah Hart, ever had an STD? For me, the answer is no, but I am also super paranoid about STDs. So, here's what I like to do. When you're in the sex place with the sexy person and you're making out, and then suddenly clothes start to come off. This is what you do, you go like this. Hey, when was the last time you were tested for STDs? And so that's my method for practicing safe sex. I like to look them straight in the eyes and just try and pray that they're not lying to me. For me, personally, it's important to have sex with someone that you trust. And if you can't trust them to tell you the truth about an STD, then you probably shouldn't be having sex with them, is what I say to myself. You, however, are free to have sex with as many people as you want, And I hope there are more resources online that are more helpful in different ways, but that's my way. Jen 14 asks, were you immediately comfortable with the word lesbian? It took myself like a year to call myself a lesbian. Yeah. It took me a long time too. I don't know why. I honestly think it's because of the patriarchy. I think it's an anti-feminist thing to not like the word lesbian, you know, to give it a negative connotation, like women are somehow drab or less interesting or less fun. So I actually think it's like misogyny that makes the word lesbian weigh so heavy on the tongue. That's too easy.